You say you're a traditional man, you want a traditional woman. Nobody has a problem with that. The problem is the shit talking and the campaigning against these women that you say that you can have on your way out of the country. Like, I can't think of anybody that's voluntarily vocal against something that supposedly comes to them with such ease. You get women over here, you get women over there, you can get women everywhere. Then why are you so vocal if you got it like that? I know we're cut different because I wasn't brought up to publicly check random women. I'm just curious, like, why is that your niche if you got it like that? And I said this in the other video, times have changed. Women got their own stuff. And if a bad attitude comes with her package, then just go get another one since you got it like that. And I don't think that you realize that you being vocal is a symptom of insecurity. If it's not, it's sure coming off that way. And you're right, it is a 50% divorce rate, but it takes two. My page is about accountability first.
Hello YouTube, it's your boy, the Passport Bro Wingman, coming at you again with another YouTube video. And the title of this video is called Passport Bros, Y'all Are All Hurt and Rejected. Why so vocal against women you say you don't want, says a Pander Bear. And the way this went about was I was watching some of the Passport Bros channels, and happened to stumble across this video of this guy who's doing a lot of pandering to American women in general, but women across the board. He had a lot of ignorant stuff to say, and I didn't play the whole video because I didn't want to torture you guys to a lot of the other little nonsense he was saying. So I'm going to kind of tell you what he said, sum up what he said, and then kind of address his points throughout that video. But to start off, he really was, I guess there was a Passport Bro speaking out against him, one of his videos. So then this was his reply to that Passport Bro. So I just wanted to debunk some of his talking points, and let's kind of get into it. So he starts off by really saying, like, why are we so vocal against all these women who we don't supposedly care about? And first I want to start off by saying that, an unchecked lie becomes the truth. An unchecked lie becomes the truth. If a lie is just out there and you don't really address it, at some point it takes up legs. And some people start to think, well, if they're not saying anything about it, it must be true. I do understand sometimes, like, for example, when people are trolling saying things, some people say, oh, don't respond. You just give them what they want. But at the same time, it could kind of, ignoring sometimes turns into being passive. And when you're being passive, people are saying things against you. It starts turning into verbal abuse. And then on top of that, people start to think that maybe this is true about you because you never really addressed it. If you're at work and people are saying that you're doing this or that to women, you don't say anything. People start to think, oh, well, he's not saying anything. Maybe he's hiding or he's not saying anything. So in general, when we're addressing some of these videos and that kind of thing, we're trying to defend ourselves. We're defending our reputation. And we're just checking the lies that are out there about us. Keep in mind that this is the Passport Bro movement. It's a movement. So we're going back into the beast of the belly, and we're rescuing men who are dealing with the same issues. So we're because a lot of times when there's something that you treasure, you like to share it with other people. And especially since there are a lot of men who are suffering in the United States, we like to go back and tell them about our experiences and some of the ways we've dealt with the troubles of dating in the United States, and how now we're dealing with it by getting our passports and going overseas. So it's not just about, in your mind, checking women and addressing their lies. It's not so much about this. It's more about us sharing our experiences and let other men know that they have other options. You don't have to take the abuse that you're dealing with in the United States. And then he goes on to try to act like he has some type of integrity. Oh, I wasn't brought up to check random women, but you're brought up to check random men. You don't know these men who you're checking. So what's the difference between you checking random men versus you checking random women? It doesn't even make any sense. And at the end of the day, I mean, everyone has a right to defend themselves. As I said before, keep letting people just say whatever they want about you, and you don't check what they're saying. It starts turning, you ignoring them to some degree. encourages bullies and that kind of thing to kind of keep coming back and saying stuff to you because they feel like you're never going to say anything, you're not going to do anything. But once you check them that one good time, they stop. As they say, the truth will set you free. If you're saying lies about me, I bring out statistics, data, and I debunk what you're saying. In theory, if you're not crazy, you should stop at that point. And if anything else, even if you want to continue, I think you've done a very diligent job as far as addressing a lie. Anyone who has any type of common sense, once they see the truth, they're going to pretty much ignore anything that these liars are saying. So you have that. And the other thing he talked about was, you guys claim you got it like that. Why don't you just, if a woman has a negative, if the baggage she had, if she comes with baggage, she's negative, just get rid of her and move on. Since you guys do have it like that, you guys are saying you can go here, you can get a woman, you can go there, get a woman, you can come back to the States, get a woman. Well, if you got it like that, then why are you complaining? Why don't you just deal with the women here? Stop vocalizing it and being bitter and that kind of thing. Well, here's the thing. He ignored the fact that it's about quality, not quantity. In many cases, we're looking for wives. A wife is different than a girlfriend. It has to be a woman of substance, a woman of quality. So, yes, there are women in the States, and many past bros have said this. We've said as well that there are some women in the United States that will make great wives. We have the thing called the pick-me's. So there are some pick-me's in the state. There are some women who do want to be under the leadership of men and will submit to their husband and that kind of thing. But these women are far in between. It's very difficult to find these women because these women in general get taken off the market very quickly, especially if they're attractive. That's the thing. And then also keep in mind, as I've stated in many videos, and shout out to Pablo Fresco Bar. He made this excellent point. He said there is a beauty deficit in the United States. That is true. And I've stated this many times. We have about 60% of the women who are either obese or very overweight in some way. They're either obese or they're overweight, which means there's a small percentage of women that are fit. There's a very small percentage of women that are fit. And most men in general are not trying to date obese women, which means by having this large percentage of obese and overweight women, that shrinks the pool of attractive women. And when I say attractive, I'm not even talking about their face. I'm just saying fit. That shrinks the pool of fit women that men can choose from. And let's just say in general, let's say of that 60%, let's say there's 20% that's overweight. Of course, you got some women who are like, technically they're overweight, but me being a black man, them being thick, we're okay with that. So let's just say even a percentage of that is women who are thick, but they're not Lizzo. They're just, they look like the video vixens. They got a big butt, thick waist, that kind of thing. But they might be classified as overweight technically. But even of that, let's just say even if you do take a percentage of those women, you're talking at least now 50% of the women who are like either obese or very overweight. And then you have, the women who are fit. And then the extra 10% who maybe are like I said, maybe they're like shaped like a video vixen, that kind of thing. So that's only 50% of the women that are available. So you got 100% of men competing for this 50%. So of course these women, and keep in mind, I'm just talking about body shape. I didn't mention their face. I did not mention their face. So basically at this point, you're talking, one woman per two men. And then keep in mind, you got someone, and then on top of that, these women, they have their standards as well. He got to be 6 feet tall, got to make six figures. And you have a racial component as well. So women saying, I don't really deal with the brothers. Or the opposite, they deal with brothers, they don't deal with non-black men. Or even within each race, for example, within the white race, there might be some women who say, I don't date red-haired men, or I only date brunette-haired men. Within the black race, I only date the light-skinned brothers, or I only deal with the dark-skinned brothers. I only deal with the, real chocolate-type brothers. So you got all these preferences amongst these women as well. And then you had Ebony Williams talking about, I don't date bus drivers. So now some of us are weeded out because of our occupation. You got that going on. Not to mention on Tinder, the statistic was The woman only found about 3% of all the men on Tinder attractive. And that's not talk. And I think they were saying in general on Tinder, you're not going to find necessarily dime pieces. Because keep in mind, not all women are on dating apps, especially a lot of attractive ones. They don't really have to do that. So a lot of times the women who are saying that only 3% of these men are unattractive, keep in mind, these are not dimes. You're talking about women who probably are anywhere from ones all the way up to about 7 to 8s on these apps. These a lot of times these are not like women who are look like Victoria's Secret models. These are women who me and other men in general will probably be with, as they always talk about, a league or range, who will be within our range. So basically what I'm trying to say is a woman who's on my same attractive level, she's not checking for me. She's checking for a guy who has above my range as far as attractiveness and money. And in many cases, because of the ratio, 100 men going after 50% of the women, they can kind of push that way, which means you'll have a woman who looks like a 5, but she has the demands of a woman who's a 10. So as a result, is in many cases men have to date down, and I'm not talking about financially. I'm talking about looks wise. You got a guy who might be an 8. He's having trouble dating women who are 5s and 6s. So. And that being said, why would I want to date if a guy is an 8 and he's having trouble dating women who are 4, 5s, and 6 in the United States? Why would he deal with that versus he can get his passport, go overseas or go down to South America or even the Caribbean? He can go to Cuba, he can go to the DR, and now he's dating women who look even better than him. He might be an 8, but now he's dating women who's 10s. Or he might be a guy who's a 5 in the States, but now he's dating women who's 7 and 8s. Depending on what we're working with. But put it this way, regardless of what you look like as a man, as we said before, once you go to these countries, you're automatically like a high value man. The caliber of woman you're going to date is beyond anything you would get in the United States. I don't care what you look like, what your height. Even if you are a guy who's a 10, but ask yourself this: the 10s in the United States, are they going to treat you the same way that the 10s in the Philippines or in Brazil or Colombia or in East Europe are going to treat you? You're going to get far better treatment as far as quality, because those women, as we said before, are brought up in a more patriarchal society. And a lot of times they're used to catering to men because the ratio is balanced. In most of these countries, these women and men, they don't own cars, which means what? They have to walk to get to work, which means what? Most people are somewhat fit and in shape, which means what? The balance between available men and available women is pretty much balanced. It's balanced out where there is a surplus in many cases of attractive women, especially as far as shape. Most of these women have a beautiful shape. If they're not skinny, they, like as I said before, they're shaped like the IG models. They're not looking like Lizzo. Of course. There's always going to be a percentage of obese or overweight or fat women in general. But majority of the time when you go down to Colombia, I challenge you, go to Colombia, go to Brazil. Especially Brazil, they have it's almost like a fitness culture. You go to the beach, you see people doing pull-ups. You see women all the time running down like the little, I think that's Copacabana, like that whole strip. You see them running down there all the time. So many women are in shape. You generally see beautiful women everywhere, man. It's just crazy in comparison to the States, where women are walking around in jogging pants, putting their hairs in ponytails, showing up at the grocery store in their pajamas. You got women, I think Monique was talking about, she doesn't really shave her legs. You got women with their little buzzsaw haircut, wearing going to work wearing men's suits. All types of unattractive characteristics that they've got accustomed to, versus in these other countries, because women know they have to compete. Even when they're just going to the grocery store, these women are dressed up like they're about to go to a nightclub. I mean, it's just the quality you will get, it just surpasses what you will get in the United States. That's why I challenge any man, get your passport, go to these countries, when you come back, you will be forever changed. You're going to look at things completely different and the women completely different when you come back to the United States. And we're sharing this because we're not bitter and hurt. Of course, all of us at some point have been in the friend. Many of us have been in the friend zone. Of course, even the women, everybody. Let's stop playing. Everybody has issues. I got issues. You got issues. But here's the thing: we're not saying these things because of our issues or things we've had in the States. We're saying these things because we found something that we really treasure, and it's like, why keep this a secret? There are other men in the United States who are hurting. There are other men in the West that are hurting, and we're trying to spread our message and let them know that, hey, there is hope. There is other options. You don't have to deal with the abuse that you're taking in the States. We know that you're taking abuse because when you start looking at the statistics, you see how for the past 50 years, there's been total pressure on a man. Everything is the man's fault. Men are getting raped in divorce court, getting their children taken away. Just this whole Me Too movement. There's now a thing called Speak Out Act. There's like all these little laws and things that are like targeting men. After seeing all this abuse, we're just telling men you don't have to take this abuse. That has nothing to do with insecurities. Has nothing to do with being past hurts, past rejections, that kind of thing. And the thing is, when we're leaving, a lot of times it's these women coming after us, and all we're doing is replying back to them and saying, hey, yeah, these are the things that we had issue with. That's why we prefer this. For example, when you go to a company, most people notice whenever you leave, let's say you get another job offer and you leave, what's one of the things they do when you exit, before you leave? They give you an exit survey. What is the purpose of the exit survey? It's because they want to find out, one, where the hole was, where the void was that they didn't fulfill that made you leave. Like, what are the real reasons you're leaving? A lot of times HR is looking at the turnover rate. Like, how often do we keep people? When we do find good people, how long do they stay? What are some different benefits we can get to make them stay? They give you an exit interview. And the exit interview, when you're telling them some of the things, it might be issues, it might be some things that you didn't necessarily like. But at the end of the day, because here's the thing, exit interviews, exit surveys are voluntary. You can just leave and don't say anything. We can leave and not say anything. But if somebody asks me and they say, hey, how can we improve? What can we do better? I look at it as, okay, yeah, I did have a good time working for your company, your business. If you can just do this, I think you're going to maintain a lot of people. I think you're going to keep employees for a long time. Your turnover rate is going to decrease. You just do this. It has nothing necessarily to do with business. Because at this point, if I got another job, you think I'm still thinking about this other job? I'm not thinking about this other job. Yeah, there may be some things they did to me that I thought was cutthroat or that kind of thing. But at the end of the day, I found another option. In many cases, majority of the passport bros, 90%, I want to say 95, 97% of them, when we're posting these videos, we're not, he's looking at it as if we're trying to win them back over. We're not trying to win you back over. We're gone. That's what he fails to realize. We are gone. We don't care. We're not trying to express this because we're not trying to get back at them for past hurts. That kind of thing. We're not trying to do that. Now, I can't say all the passport bros, but I'm willing to say that majority of the time, because I'm thinking of a few videos in my mind where like maybe a guy appeared and he got his wife and he's like, oh, to all the, American women, I got my wife now. I don't need you, blah, blah, blah. Keep in mind, here's the thing you got to keep in mind. We did not start this war. And many people have said this before. The thing that started the whole passport bro movement and really got it out there was all these attacks by American women saying, y'all ain't nothing. Ain't no woman gonna put up with you. Y'all losers. You're rejected and hurt. That is why you started to see men with their fiance or with their wives and saying, hey, to all you women, I got my wife now that you said I wasn't going to get. I got this woman who, you said no woman would ever submit to me because I'm dusty. They don't want no bus drivers and all that kind of stuff. Here's Exhibit A. Exhibit A. My wife, she cooks, she cleans. And sometimes the guy will interview her, get her take on it. She'll say, "Yeah, I love the cook and clean from men. That's our culture here. Has nothing to do with bitterness. Has nothing to do with him sticking it to American women. But keep in mind that a lot of the American women, when they make these videos, they waged war on the passport bros, calling us the P word, saying all types of stuff. This is nothing but us defending ourselves. Even the guys who are showing videos of them with their girl, and they're specifically saying American women, keep in mind, this is tit for tat in many cases. It has nothing to do with us. We just went out and started abusing women. It has nothing to do with that. And in many cases, as I have expressed, I've told many men, we do need to do more advertising. One way to do it is maybe you show yourself out. You're with your fiance. You show yourself dancing with your fiance, and more so, that's to advertise to the men in the States, the men in the West, to say, hey, you can have a beautiful woman just like I have a beautiful woman. And a lot of times they want us to show receipts. That's why we're showing the women, because a lot of them saying, I'm not going to be a believer until you show me. So by us showing our fiance or show us out with a few girls, we're dancing and we're interviewing some of the women in these other countries. This is not us getting back at American women. This is us addressing the men who are hurting. There are men who are hurting in the West. Let me say this again. There are men who are hurting. You got males deleting themselves left and right because they're starting to say, what's the point? Why should I work this dead-end job 40 hours a week, and then I can't even come home to a peaceful I can't even come home to a peaceful home where a woman loves me, supports me, wants to cook for me. In some cases, some men can't even get that. There were 30% of the men, I think they said under the age of 30, were not even having, they weren't having any sex. I think they were saying at least half of the men have checked out for even looking for dates. So a lot of men are saying, what's the point? What's the point of living? What's the point of working? And that kind of thing. If you're a man like that right now, please, I'm here to tell you, it's not your fault. Even though this Pander Bear is trying to say it's your fault, you need to take accountability. Men have been taking accountability for the past 50 years. Jerry Springer, Ricky Lake, what's the show? You Are Not the Father. You know that guy, the Maury Povich show. Taking accountability left and right, getting raped in divorce court. There was a pretty much a campaign, like he's saying, campaign against men, saying that we're just deadbeat dads, especially black men, deadbeat dads who don't take care of their children. And then just recently, Oprah Winfrey apologized for that stereotype. It came out that black men were spent some of the most time out of all the men with their children. And in many cases, let me include some of my non-black brothers who are listening as well. It also came out that a lot of times men in general, who these women claim are deadbeats, I think they said out of those men who are not, put it this way, when you look at women who are not married with children, a lot of times they try to classify these men as being deadbeats, but they found out of those men, only about less than a quarter could even be considered deadbeats. And even those men, although they didn't provide financial support to their children, they provided emotional support in many cases. So that whole deadbeat dad thing, they can kind of mess us with that. Like I said, we've been taking accountability the past 50 years. Now it's time to put this pressure on the woman. Now it's time to see the man's point of view. That's where we're at now. Lastly, I'm gonna end with this. He went to the 50% divorce rate, and you know what this guy said? He said, well, there's 50%, the population is 50% men, population is 50% women. So that much means that 50% of it is caused by men. This man really didn't do any research. He has not been paying attention at all. What did Kevin Samuels say? 80% of divorce is initiated by the woman. 80% of divorce is initiated by the woman. And I mean, it's just ridiculous. Yeah, I mean, and he recently didn't see that. Yeah, man. And he recently didn't see this. It was a video done by a Medium Man in which he did. And I might post that in the description. There were a lot of women using this 2002 study to say that. And this was in reference to black men, trying to say that black men have like the highest divorce rate or something like that. Media Man ripped that thing to shreds, and pretty much showed that actually it's the opposite. He showed a study from 2023, which actually showed that no, on the contrary, black women actually have the highest divorce rate. And I say that to say that only reason I brought this up is to say that you constantly got women in these Panda Bears constantly coming after men, trying to say that we're not taking accountability of our actions. You know what accountability is? It's looking at where I'm at in life, saying, what can I do to improve my life or make my life better? What am I doing to contribute to my circumstance? And what am I going to do to make it different? As they say, if you keep doing the same thing over and over and you're expecting different results, what is that called? Insanity. What Passport Bros have done is we've taken accountability. We've looked at our circumstances and said, hey, I keep doing this in the States. It's not working. I tried this. It's not working. I went with the dating coaches. It's not working. I need to take accountability and do something else if I want to be successful with women. You know what we did to be accountable? We said, you know what? Why don't we try getting that passport, and why don't we go overseas and see if maybe, just maybe, it's better over there and maybe we'll have more success. And you know what happened? With flying colors, successful. When American men marry foreign women, the success rate is 80%. 80%. We went over there and we were successful. You see video after video on YouTube of men who went to having struggles in the United States to being extremely successful in Latin America and Eastern Europe and Southeast Asia, having extreme success to the point where you almost can't beat the women off with a stick to some degree. There's so many options, so many submissive, fit, and attractive women that it's almost hard to just settle down with one. It's like, man, like if we can just get this, it's just, I'm just thankful. I just thank God I knew about this and I didn't just settle down in the West and just deal with whatever I have to deal with there. And which brings me to my last point. The real reason I think he's doing this is because you remember I brought you that analogy about if you're on your job and you find another job and then they do like the exit interview. Here's the other piece to that. When you're doing that exit interview, you're being surveyed and interviewed by somebody who's still at that job. They're still stuck at that job. So while they're stuck at that job, dealing with the women in the United States, do you think they want to hear about you being happy and successful? Think about that friend you have in your pack. Let's say you win $1 million. You go to your friend, man, I just won $1 million. I'm about to buy me this car. I'm about to do this. Do you think your friend feels some way about that? A good friend will he'll pat you on the back and say, "Yo, I'm happy for you, man. Congratulations. I hope everything works out." But we all know there's always this friend there that's kind of like a little jealous, a little frustrated because he's still going through the struggle and that kind of thing. So what do they want you to do? They want you to kind of shut up about it. Don't say anything about it. I'm still struggling. Because it makes them a little bit more miserable, and there's a lot of envy there, and I feel them, which is why in many cases, me personally, I stay humble like a lot of times when I'm dealing with, whenever I have like some really good news and I have a friend that's maybe going through some things, I try not to overly do it, but keep in mind at the same time, this is YouTube, this is entertainment. It's kind of like, oh, I got cyberbullied. Turn off the computer. Turn off the computer. You see Passport Bros in the title. Why are you entertaining Passport Bros if you're not going to be a Passport Bro? If you don't want to become Passport Bro, if Passport Bro videos make you hurt, turn it off. Stop watching it. Go watch dating coaches. Go watch I think it was Save Your Community Black Man. Go watch SYCBM videos. Go watch that. Go watch the Pro Blacks. Go do what you got to do. Why are you over here? This is for men who are either Passport Bros or they want to become a Passport Bros or they're looking for something different. So let me say this to even the men who are in the States who are struggling. Before you get hurt by these videos, why be hurt when you can participate? Why be hurt and feel like we're arrogantly styling on you? Why feel like we're styling on you when you can style with us? Come style. Basically, this is my invitation to you. Come style with us. Come style with us. Come pop bottles with us in the DR. Come with us down to Brazil. Come with us down to Colombia. Let's take you out to a few clubs. That's how you meet a few women. I just think once you do that, you're going to feel completely different. We got videos of Passport Bros teaching you how to trade, teaching you about one master teacher talks about how to invest. Get that extra degree. Take those, get yourself a remote job. Before you bite us and before you have a lot of negative stuff to say, don't be discouraged. I'm here to tell you, God has a lot of good things out here for you. There's no reason to be depressed. There's no reason to hate. And especially to a lot of guys out there, there's no reason to self-delete. There's a whole lot of women in these countries that would love to cook, clean for you, be under your programming, and treat you like a king. I'll put it that way. And on that note, I'm going to end this. Please subscribe to my channel if you have not. Please hit the notification bell. Please, everyone in the comments, tell me what you think about this whole situation in this Pander Bear, that we're dealing with. Let me know what you think. Hit the thumbs up. I definitely need it. I want to grow this channel. There's a lot of hurting men out there that I want to reach, and I want to share these videos with them and these testimonies of men who are doing very well overseas. And I also want to reach the men who, maybe you want to become a Passport Bro. You don't know how. I'm here for you. You can always reach out to me in the comments. I try to respond to all my comments if possible. And on that note, this is your boy, the Passport Bro Wingman, signing off.
Dear Passport Boys, dear Passport Bros, stop calling yourself Passport Boys and Passport Bros. Are you going to the Philippines to look for a Filipina queen or what? So stop calling yourself Passport Boys and Passport Bros. Start calling yourself Passport Kings.